Hi Mark, how you doing?
I'm all right. Cheers, Cam. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Now, before we start off with what is actually proving to be quite popular from feedback, our
Yeah,
photography news headline stories that from the photography world that have caught our eye in the last week. So before we
yeah.
kick off with those headlines, Mark, let's keep our producer Joel happy.
Yes, we have a bit of shameless promotion to do, don't we? So, yes, we have a Patreon page. It's £2.50 a month, and you get early releases of episodes, and you also get a shout out at the end of each episode, which is obviously marvelous. Like I said, £2.50. It really does support us. It really helps us, get good content out there for you. So please do subscribe.
Great stuff. Okay, Mark, let's kick off with the headlines.
Absolutely. So the first one that caught my eye is a Nikon story. Nikon has revealed a limited edition release of its ZFC camera, created in collaboration with Heraldry, which is a brand known for promoting the work of neurodiverse artists. So yes, I saw this. This was on photographynews.co.uk. So this special ZFC features designs by Heraldry's art collection, which includes over 2,000 pieces created by neurodiverse artists. Four artworks have been selected to be featured on the camera's exterior, which is known for its blend of modern performance and vintage-inspired design. The calibration introduces a new way for users to personalize their cameras with unique artworks. And I have to say, these do look wicked. I really like the looks of these. So obviously, we'll put some pictures up. But it
Coming from our resident Canon expert.
Well, yeah, but we do like these cameras, don't we? I mean, it this is we have said because it does have that vintage style, and yeah, I just think they look pretty smooth. I think they do.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
they
so.
look
Yeah,
really nice.
very bright and colourful. Just
Yeah,
scrolling through them, they've also got these colourful patterns on. First one I looked at is has got is the camera is got black at the top. The second one looks like it's got silver,
yeah.
what looks like silver metal body. Yeah, that. Do you know? I quite I had to pick a
I like
favourite one.
these.
I like the all silver one,
Do you?
which is yeah, well, it's sort of silver with a black, with a black and white illustration. I thought
Oh
it's
yeah,
really
but
cool.
they're like spacemen or something, aren't they? Or
Yeah,
aliens
that's
and
right.
things. It does
Yeah,
look funky.
yeah, I really like that. Okay, retail price. Now, Mark, I don't know if you've seen the retail price, but
I
what do you
have seen the
think this
retail
would go
price.
at? You have seen
I
the retail
I
price.
have seen the retail price. Yes, of
Oh, okay,
course.
right. Okay,
I do my due diligence when I'm doing my research on these things. Come on now. So yes, the retail price is £1,229, which actually I don't think that's that pricey really.
I think
I
it's
think
too bad. Yeah,
no, if you
interesting
think
actually
about what the
because
Fuji that Fuji GX100 that we both
mm,
love, that's actually
mm,
more than this. So
yeah, yeah. I really like these.
yeah.
One thing I would say is that Nikon seem to do stuff like this, don't they? But I don't think Canon do they?
No, not
Um,
really. No,
Sony
not
don't
really.
go down that route. Sony don't go down the funky sort of route at all, do they?
No, they don't.
Um, Canon going to retro, but Nikon do go that little bit more arty. And shout out to Nikon because
Yeah,
we have been very critical with Nikon in the past. That
we have.
in that they've not been groundbreaking. I think they've got left. They did get left behind several years ago, but they have done
Yeah.
what's called to catch up. But they do certainly try and be cool, don't they, Nikon?
They are going a different route with this, and I like it. It does offer something different to the market,
Mm,
which is
yeah.
what we need. Because yeah, I mean, I'm a Canon user. I love my Canon cameras. I think their workhorses are brilliant. But I have to say, when I look at my R6, it does look a bit boring compared to the ZFC.
Mm,
I love the design of it. I love it's harking back to what film cameras used to look like and feel like,
yeah.
and also the fact that they're using Heraldry, which is for the neurodiverse artists. I think that's a
Mm,
really good thing to do. um and I love the design of it. These look really good. I think my favorite one is actually the first one. It's that kind of mosaic feel with the black camera. I think that
mm,
looks really good. It's
yeah.
quite 80s, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I quite like.
Good,
I do
yeah.
like them. I do like that. I think they're really good.
Yeah, good stuff, and a positive shout out to Nikon there. Now, Mark, next story. And this one really is a bit of the sign of the times. It's this photographer walks out of a lecture theatre over audiences' use of smartphones. And it says photographer Stephen Shaw walked out of a lecture after he saw audience members using their smartphones. He's an American photographer, and he was speaking at the Central Academy of Fine Arts in China, and he's hosting an exhibition of his work. And during the actual lecture that he was giving, he just walked out, and based on the fact that he saw a lot of people, several people in the audience were more focused on their smartphones than the actual event. And what actually happened, it says Shaw directly addressed the audience about their smartphone use, just as an individual was about to ask the photographer a question. And the photographer, Stephen Shaw, said, just before you ask that question, I'm going to say something, and I apologize in advance because it's going to be rude. 76-year-old photographer went on to say, and he said, it's something on my mind as I experience the modern world. He says, Shaw then expressed his dismay with the audience, questioning why people would attend a lecture only to be more engrossed on their smartphones. And it's true. And maybe they were talking about it, but he says, you come here to hear a talk, and you can't even pay attention to who you've come to listen to. How can you pay attention to the food you eat or the feel of the sun on your skin? And it says the audience began to cheer, but he decided to walk out at that point. Now, I love this story because I totally agree with him. What bugs me, and I saw this the other day. I was watching a football game, Liverpool versus West Ham the other day. So which one it is? And the ball goes over to the corner flag, and I see people in the crowd with their phones filming what's actually happening. I think corner was about to be taken, and I was watching them because there was one person in particular I was sort of keeping my eye on, and he was watching the match through his phone just to get that. Now, it could have been that he was maybe
was he recording it, or
maybe a tourist or something, and he was recording it, but he was watching what he was recording rather than what was happening in real life. This bugs the hell out of me. So I want to say to Stephen Shaw, huge respect to you for doing this, because I love what you've done. Here you've made a point, because okay, people may have been recording this thing on their phone, but
see, that was my question. You see, it doesn't really go into. I mean, just to shout out as well, this is a Petapixel article, isn't it? But so he was sort of saying about their use on the mobile phone. Were they just on their mobile phone, or were they recording the lecture? It doesn't really say.
Okay. That we don't know. But Mark, I want to make a point, and I think I mentioned this to you the other day. Now, we were at a shoot recently. We were at an event, and we were doing a shoot, and this event we were doing, this talk, went on for 3 hours. There were some presentations in the talk. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think I mentioned it to you.
Yeah.
And Jordan was filming, so I may have mentioned it to Jordan. And I said, well, first of all, that the where we were should have been cut down to an hour maximum. Okay, so 3 hours was too long, because people have got shorter attention spans than ever before. Now, basically, as the ceremony went on, everyone was on their phones, and I could see what they were looking at. They were just flicking through their Instagram feed. Some were on Facebook. It was all Instagram and Facebook. Okay, I know somebody was on BBC News and whatever. Nobody was listening to what was going on. Okay. And it was as dull as dishwater, but it was as dull as dishwater to me, but it was obviously the talk was geared to them. They completely zoned out. Yes, it was the fault of the people that organised the event. It was too long, it was too boring, and they were going to lose the interest of people. But people just thought, I'm just going to sit on my phone here. But they were possibly missing key information. You go to any event, it doesn't matter where it is, and it could be a wedding or whatever, and people are spending all their experience of their events through their phones, and it has to stop. At some point, I think to be a point when people become more aware of this, saying, "Actually, hang on a minute, I am somewhere. I need to put my phone away." And
but they are, aren't
be
they?
in that moment.
I mean, there's certain musical acts that are demanding people turn off their mobile phones and things like that.
Yeah, but can actually, sorry,
No,
Mark,
no, no,
to
no,
interrupt again. I want to say on that point, sorry, because I feel
yeah,
really strongly about this.
I can
Music,
tell.
right, musical acts are doing this. However, musical acts at the same time want the publicity.
Yes, they do. I know, I know. And so I actually, but I mean, I do record when I'm at a gig. If it's a band that I absolutely loved and I
Can't
do,
believe that.
well,
No, you
believe
shouldn't.
it.
I can't
So
believe that you do that, Mark.
yeah,
I
I do.
never do it.
But I have to say though, I don't do it like consistently. So let's say one of my favorite songs come on. Oh, I'm going to record a bit of this, but I don't watch it through the screen. Do you know what I mean? There is, I have my phone out, right? But I'm not watching the screen at the same time. I'm watching the act because I guess I have a skill that many people don't. I don't know. I mean, I don't understand why people have to look at the phone. You know, these phones have wide angle lenses. You're not going to miss much, right? So you don't need to look at your phone. Now, if
How,
I was, I'm a bit when I go to a Reading game. I have filmed parts of when a corner's been taken, but I'm watching the game and my phone's sort of under my chin. I'm not missing the live experience either, but it's a nice memory of I don't get to see the Royals that often because I don't live in Reading anymore. So it's a nice memory to have. Do you know what I mean? And especially if
well,
you catch a goal. So I think yeah, I think you're. I think there's a go-between, really. I think you are quite. I don't know. I don't know what's the word. You don't like it at all.
I don't.
Um,
And
but
you know,
I
okay,
and I don't like it when it's done all the time. But I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it for like 30 seconds and then putting it away.
but the thing
Do
is,
you know what I mean? There's you can do both
no,
and
because
still
what a lot
enjoy
of
it.
people do, and so many people do this, they'll record it, and then while they're on their phone, because it's habit forming now, because we're addicted, people will just click on their Instagram just to see if anything's come up. Then they'll suddenly find they're scrolling through, and then
No,
then they
I don't
realise, oh,
know.
actually, hang on a minute, I'm supposed to be at this gig. And what a lot of people will do,
Who does that in a gig?
they'll send that video straight away to somebody because that's the modern world, Mark.
Okay. Well,
Because
I mean, I don't do that, by the
no,
way.
no,
I get this footage, and let's say I'm with a group of people, and we've got a WhatsApp group, and I post it on the people who went to the gig. I mean, I don't post on social media really anyway. So,
no,
so it's for me. It's not for anybody else. It's for
sure.
me. I did it when I was back in 2017, I think it was something like that. I saw Guns N' Roses. I never saw Guns N' Roses in their prime, and well, there we go, check it out. And yeah, to see it was the first time I saw Slash is a guitar hero of mine. Of course, I'm gonna film him doing a bit of that Sweet Child of Mine solo. Of course, I am. But that's for me. It's not to put on social media,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. You see,
But
I
I
wouldn't.
do think though,
That's just where.
I do think it's different when you're in an environment like that, whether it's a football game or whether it's a gig. I think it is different when you're seeing a lecture. I wouldn't dream of videoing the lecture. Do you know what I
Mm,
mean? Like I
mm,
wouldn't dream of videoing a comedy show either.
mm.
I think there's a difference. Do you not see I think it's actually quite rude to be on your phone if you're going to see a lecture. I don't know why. I just think there is a
I think
difference there.
I think it's just the norm. Anyway, let's crack on with the next story.
Yes, we spoke about that one. It's supposed to be short and sweet, these, isn't it? And
It's just the headlines.
yes, we went into songs. Okay, well, here's one that I love, and I think I mention this every year on this show when it comes about. But it's that time of year again, Cam. Guess what's back?
Yeah,
Guess what's back?
Yeah, I know. It's a
The
comedy
Comedy
wildlife awards, isn't
Awards.
it?
And it's the Nikon Comedy Wildlife Awards. Please check these out, guys. They're hilarious. I love them. So basically, the finalists are announced. It says on their website that they are excited and delighted to reveal the Nikon Comedy Wildlife Award finalists, and they're utterly brilliant. And I concur, they are. There are 40 individual entries, 4 portfolio entries, and 3 videos that have made the cut. You've got to check them out on the gallery page. I've seen some of them. I haven't seen all of them. They are hilarious. There's not much more to say, really.
No, there
Go and
isn't.
check it out.
Yeah, they're a must to check out. We'll put the
They
link out
absolutely are.
today.
because it's a competition, it's a photographic competition, but it's it's just not overly serious. I love it. I absolutely love the Wildlife Comedy
Yeah,
Awards.
no, yeah, they are great. Okay, now next one is another bit of gear news. Okay, so we've had Nikon who bringing out their new funky looking cameras, but Tamron, okay, sort of lens manufacturers, third party lens manufacturers. Is that what
Yes,
we'd
they
say? Is
are.
that what we say?
Yeah,
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 that's
I
right.
think
Yeah,
that's what they say.
they've just released a 90mm f2.8 macro lens for the Nikon Z and Sony E mounts. Now, these are highly anticipated 90mm f2.8 and macro being released in October 2024. Priced respectively around sort of 700 to 900. Got the price here in dollars.
Yeah.
Okay, and now Tamron have been one of those companies. Like, what's the other company? The other third party, Sigma. Yeah. Okay, that a lot of people have used their lenses because they are a lot cheaper than buying, the dedicated Nikon, Canon, Sony lenses.
And they are good lenses. They are good lenses.
They are good lenses. And over the years, they've upped their game considerably.
Yeah.
And without going into too much detail about the lens, and we're not going to go into tech detail, but it was just to say that they've released it. If you are interested in something like this, check it out. Tamron Sigma lenses are all good and a great way of saving yourselves some money as well. So the new 90mm f2.8, we love an f2.8, don't we, Mark?
We do love an f2.8. Yeah.
And it's a macro. Okay, the downside for some people is it's a fixed lens, but the fact that it's 2.8 and macro.
Well, it's a dedicated macro lens, isn't it? Which do tend to be fixed, don't they? They don't tend to get zooms for a dedicated macro. But yes, so it is available for the Nikon Z and Sony E mounts. Unfortunately, Canon RF mounts, you're going to have to wait a bit longer. I don't know if there's any news about one coming out for a Canon, but there you go.
Good stuff.
Canon being Canon, I guess. Right. All
right, next.
So next one. Now this is quite an interesting one. We've been talking about phones a bit today, haven't we? But I read, and this is actually on dpreview.com. I read about this. So have you seen the film 28 Hours Later?
No, but
you haven't seen this.
I've seen this story in quite a few places.
So, 28 Hours Later when was it done? I think it was in the late 90s. And it was a zombie film. And I think it was the first time I saw the Peaky Blinders guy. What's his name? Is it Cillian Murphy? Yeah, it's Cillian Murphy, isn't it? I think he's in it. First time I saw him. It's a zombie film. And it's utterly brilliant. It's all based in London. It's really good. It's gritty. And it really sort of revolutionized for me the zombie film. You're very used to the old school ones, Dawn of the Dead and all that, where they're slow moving zombies and stuff, but these guys, and it was also they're the undead, whereas this time it's more about a virus which turned them in, and they were very quick, and it was really good, shot brilliantly. It's Danny Boyle. Really good film. Since then they did 28 Days Later, which was the sequel, and now it's 28 years later. There's going to be another film coming out. But what's remarkable about this is that reportedly it's shot with an iPhone 15 Pro. So what it says here is 28 years later, which is the sequel to the 2002 28 Days Later, was reportedly shot using an iPhone 15 Pro Max. So they did some investigating and seeing an onset image shot by Paparazzo, which must be a paparazzi kind of company, and says that the use of Apple smartphones as the principal camera system on 28 years later was subsequently confirmed to Wired by several people connected with the movie. This news comes shortly after Apple spent a considerable amount of time touting the iPhone's capabilities as a video camera during its iPhone 16 Pro announcement. So it goes on to say that looking at the onset image posted by just Jared, you'd be forgiven for not immediately spotting the phone. And this is the caveat, right? This is the bit. So, because the actual iPhone is buried beneath tons of gear, including what appears to be an external lens, a monitor, a matte box, and more. So, it's a bit of a misnomer saying it's all been shot on on an iPhone, right? Because actually, there is a shed load of professional gear that has been added to it in order to get
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
quality that we're doing.
Saying that though, the fact that it is shot on an iPhone, I know that, and I might have this wrong, that somewhere I read going back a few years ago that if anything was released on Netflix, it had to be recorded on there was like a minimum type of camera or something. You couldn't just record it on, say, an Sony A7 III or something. They had to be a certain the camera has to be of a certain level to be on Netflix. Now, obviously, as we know, that we don't know enough about this, but how it's been sort of recorded. But the fact that it's recorded on an iPhone, and it's got all it's kitted out and everything, is quite remarkable. In the way that the industry, tech is changing, but certainly something that I'll be keeping an eye out for that when it actually comes out, and I'll see what it's like. And I bet you it's going to be damn good. But the only thing is I think a lot of people can say, "Oh, I can shoot all of that on an iPhone now," but they won't realise. But I don't think they'll realise that how much gear has actually been used. If they're all thinking it was just an iPhone used out of its box straight off, then
it's not true. Also, I just want to clarify something. I did make a mistake on the film titles. I'm sure people are listening to this going, "Oh, he's got it wrong." It was 28 days later was the original, 28 weeks later was the sequel, and now it's 28 years later. I got confused. Do you know why I got confused, though? There used to be a zombie thing you go to in London, I think it was, called 2.8 hours later, which was you running away from zombies in the middle of London. So that's why I got confused. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay, that's right. Now, Mark, I'm going to let you do the next one. It's something to do with, I think it's something you came across about AI versions on like social media.
Yeah, so we talked about this last week, didn't we? When Snapchat using your footage, your selfie in adverts. If you're using, I think it was my selfie feature on the Snapchat app. Well, we came down. Well, we spoke about it a bit, but it's not just Snapchat that are doing it. So we have had the Meta. The Meta congregation, what is it called? The Meta thing when they all get together. I forget what it's called now. So yeah, that's come out, and so there's a bit of news coming from the event, which was on Wednesday, but there is something going on about AI versions of yourself might start appearing on your Instagram feed. And it's not just Instagram, it's Facebook as well. So at the Meta Connect event on Wednesday, Mark Zuckerberg's company announced that AI images might start appearing on people's Facebook and Instagram feeds. While some may react in horror to the news, what's even creepier is that the AI images may be representations of the users themselves. The feature is an expansion of Meta's Imagine Me features, which allow users to create AI selfies based on their photos. Users might get an Imagine for You image on their feed, which they can quickly share and generate a new picture. So yeah, I mean, there's pictures on here. It's basically you're advertising to yourself essentially, and you're getting no money for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to, but the thing is, a lot of people are going to be, "Oh, I'm not happy about all of that," and whatever. Again, it's another thing where technology is moving forward.
Yeah. So Meta at it as well, basically. Yeah. So the next one, Cam.
Okay, next one. I believe it's the last one. This one is I think.
It's a bit of a silly one,
a satellite spots Star Trek Starfleet logo among dirty sea ice.
Yeah.
This is a photo taken by NASA's Earth Observing 1 satellite in 2012, has resurfaced thanks to a bright white patch of sea ice that resembles this iconic Star Trek Starfleet logo. The photo was taken hundreds of miles from above. It was a body of water north of Hudson Bay in Canada when there was record low Arctic sea ice. And it basically says the unusual snowtop structure is facing out from a sea of dirty sea ice and is about 1.5 miles wide. The structure resembles the arrowhead-shaped badges worn on the officer of uniforms, Captain Kirk and Spock. And basically, it's something that's been shot from a satellite very high up, and it looks a little bit like the Star Trek logo. I mean, I mean, how it justifies a story, I don't know. I mean,
Oh, let's say it's a Better Pixel article, and we're repeating it, so we obviously find it funny.
Exactly.
But it's a bit like I think you. It's a bit like I saw Jesus on my toast or something, isn't
oh, well,
it?
yeah, exactly. Do you remember that? Right, Jesus
Yeah, I do.
sightings.
But what is quite unusual? I'm just going to say what is unusual about this though is it's not the first time this has happened. So NASA actually found a Star Trek Starfleet logo on Mars as well, not so long
Yeah.
ago. Which and I can bring that one up. But yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's a Star Trek logo. It's on Mars, and that was in 2019. So yeah, it keeps cropping up, doesn't it?
Well,
Up.
yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, the most famous one is a Turin shroud. Okay, and still people haven't proved whether that's genuine or not. First exhibited in the 1350s, the Shroud of Turin was touted as the actual burial shroud used to wrap the mutilated body of Christ after his crucifixion. Also known as the Holy Shroud, it bears a faint image of the front and back of a bearded man, which to many believers is Jesus' body miraculously imprinted onto the fabric. And it says, but research in the 1980s appeared to debunk the idea it was real after dating it to the Middle Ages, hundreds of years after Christ's death. Now, Italian researchers who used a new technique involving X-rays to date the material have confirmed it was manufactured around the time of Jesus, about 2,000 years ago. Yeah. Okay, so make of it what you will.
Yeah, it's very much like I saw Elvis in the Soup as well. I mean, there's loads, isn't there?
Exactly. I think on that.
Well, all I will say is on that note, right? I'm going to come up with a cheesy one here, but it just shows that some logos just live long and prosper.
I think let's grab a drink, Mark.
I think we should.
Okay, Mark. Now, I'm talking about this story here because I have had two cases this week where clients, both wedding clients, have asked for the raw footage of their video, the files. They want to see basically everything that we've shot. Okay. Both happened this week. And we get it from time to time. Yeah. Interestingly enough, I had two inquiries come in this week. I've replied back to one, haven't replied back to the other one yet because that came through late yesterday. And I've got my thoughts on this, but before I replied back, I wanted to do some research about this before I replied back because I thought, okay, let me just do a little bit. I don't want to just say, no, we're not going to release them. I wanted to give some information, some background as to why that we don't release them.
Yeah.
However, even when I was doing that, and I've always thought this, I was thinking, am I being too precious? Could we just release them? Could we charge for it? We could make a little bit more money. Then comes the fact that some people might say, well, why are we paying for it? We paid for you to do it. But then, there's all these different things. Okay. So what are your thoughts on if a customer comes to you and says, I want the raw files? Because there is so much information online, so many differing viewpoints, of which I'm going to mention a few. But what are your immediate thoughts on
it? First of all, the clients that have asked for it, to what end? Why do they want them? What have they said?
Okay, so they've basically said, thanks ever so much for the video. They said, we absolutely love it. Blah, blah. Is there any chance that we could have all the raw files? Because they know that we were all there all day and that we've shot stuff that's just not
right.
That's not been used. Okay.
So because there's different reasons why people ask for it. Now, I have to say, I get this a lot with my family photography as well, and I always say no. The reason I say no is a couple of reasons. First off, in this instance, you've basically employed me. I am the guy. I'm the expert in this. So if I've deleted an image or I've not shown you an image, there's a reason for that. And you just need to trust that I know what I'm doing. You don't ask a builder, do you, to I don't know, give you all the materials, do you? Or you don't ask a chef for the recipe and the ingredients, do you?
Yeah.
The fact
I
of the
mean,
matter is that they are the experts, and it doesn't matter if you have all the ingredients in the recipe. You're not going to cook or build something as well as that expert. So no. The other thing is though, I tend to find when I have a conversation with it, I mean, because I tend to do this face to face is when they ask rather than over email. And my question always is, why do you want the raw files? And they said, well, we want the better quality, and they see raw files as the best quality pictures you ever get. They don't actually understand what raw really is. Raw files are just images that have not been processed, but a lot of programs won't accept raw files because you have to convert them to actually use the photos to do anything really. So I think what they really mean is I want a really high resolution uncompressed version of this photo, which could be a TIFF or a PSD really. It's not that, but they've read somewhere online, raws are this, and so they get it in their head that actually the raw is what they want, when it actually isn't. There's nothing they can do with it unless I mean, some people, you can get Photoshop and all this kind of stuff these days, and some programs do read raw, but what are they going to do with it? That they're not photographers, they're not editors. What you're going to do, what they really want is just a high resolution. They don't want a JPEG because JPEGs are compressed. So I think also just finding out why people want this stuff is the thing. Now, for me, I see raws as my negatives, so that's why I don't give them out. We didn't. Did you ever give negatives out, Cam?
No.
No. So, I think that just needs to be respected, really. And also, it's good for claim of authorship as well. So, I'm not saying this is why people are asking me for raws, but if anyone puts an image online and says, I took this picture, actually the biggest proof of the fact that I took the picture, if it was my photo, this is obviously, so if someone has taken my work that I've sold to them and put it online and said, I've shot this picture, the biggest proof for me that I took it is that I've got the raw file and they haven't. So there's a whole load of reasons why I do not give out my raws.
Yeah, there is. And I've been looking, when I was doing my research, I looked on various sites to see what other people would say, because it's trying to get some feedback from other people, and the feedback is all online. So I'm going to quote some bits here from Reddit as to what other people would think. Okay, it says here, and these are going back. This is going back 4 years ago. Some of these comments. It says the same reason why your baker doesn't sell you the ingredients for his bread, but only the finished product. And another one that says, and I like this one, for the same reason an artist won't give out drafts, it's incomplete work.
Yeah, that's a really good. That's a really good one. That one.
Yeah. Okay. And I think this is what it is. And I think in this case, what the customers are saying to me is they basically want to see everything else that we've shot, because they feel that, there must be loads of other stuff. Where's all the other bits that we didn't see? Okay, but it's not about that, and I think they look at it like, it's like, well, you record it on a VHS tape going back in the past, you take the tape out of your video camera and you just pop it into a video player and you play it. But it's not like that now, because they're raw files. They're all shooting on Sony, the S-Log is what we call them.
Well, you shoot very flat, don't you?
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen the footage, and that's something that people don't understand. If people would see the raw files, some people would be like, they'd be horrified. Well, that's right, because they haven't been processed yet, and we do X, Y, and Z to them. Yeah.
Okay, and it said they're great. Someone else says here, and I'll quote, it says, because they look like shit, because I shoot to post-process purposeful underexposure. And most of the time I have to walk my clients through how to download a Google Drive folder to get their photos. So let's just say I'm not confident in their skills. And it says clients pay me for a finished product that resembles what they see in my portfolios. If they were to see what the raw files look like, even if they have a program that will open raws, they will not see anything close to what I deliver. They will be disappointed, because most have no idea what raw means, except that some wedding magazine or blog told them they should ask for it. Now, it's true with commercial clients, it's very different, because you are shooting more closely to what a client needs. And I'll quite happily give raw files to a commercial client. That's something that's very different to giving it to say a wedding. So, you know, some people say, oh, how dare people ask? But I think a lot of people ask because they don't know.
Well, yeah.
They just don't know. They just say, oh, should we ask, you know, oh, the video that they must have shot a lot more. Should we just see if we can get all the footage? But it's not like that now. And the first people that who sent me that email this week, who I've replied back to, haven't replied back. They might do. They might ignore it. And I will go through now what I actually wrote, or what I actually mentioned in that email. And it was a measured sort of response. I was giving reasons why. And the reasons why I actually gave, and I broke it down, and I shall read it out. It says, there's several reasons, including the following: quality control. Raw footage is unedited and often includes incomplete takes, errors, or moments that were not intended to be part of the final story. We look to curate and edit the best moments in a way that tells a cohesive and beautiful narrative of your day. Number 2, there was 3 points. Post-production process. The raw files are only the foundation. The real work happens in post-production, where we adjust colors, lighting, and sound to match the tone and style. The raw footage alone won't reflect an edited version. And part 3, final file size and usability. The raw video files that are extremely large and difficult to manage on standard devices. Without the appropriate software, the files may not be usable or viewable in the way you'd like. Okay, so I'm giving them reasons why, and I didn't go down the obnoxious replies of, you wouldn't go into a restaurant and ask for the ingredients and say that you're going to make it yourself.
You can't say that to a client. Absolutely not. No,
know.
I think generally, I mean, when I've had this conversation, I said, well, I've asked the questions of what they want, and they go, well, we just want something high quality or something like that. Because when I give out digital files, it's really for phone use. And this is for family photography rather than weddings. Weddings are different. But it's for, and they can print small images off it as well. But that's what that's designed for. And they go, oh, well, we want the raws, please. They go, well, what do you actually mean by the raws? Well, we want to print like a poster size. I said, well, you don't need the raws for that. You just need, you could have a high quality JPEG, or like I was saying earlier, a TIFF or a PSD. People read these things in, like you're saying, like in magazines, or someone said something on social media, ask for the raws are this. And actually people don't really understand what they are.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think one of the things that bugs me, though, more than anything else, though, is, and this comes to wedding clients, because commercial clients don't do this. Okay. But when you shoot a wedding and you get one of the wedding suppliers who comes to you and says, oh, can I have some pictures, and I'll credit you, I'll tag you. Could you send me the pictures? Now, this is a real bugbear of mine, because I would not go to a florist and say, oh, could you give me some flowers? You know, I'm not going to pay for them, but I'll
tag you in.
I'll tag you in.
Yeah.
But they just think, well, you only send me a couple of pictures and you are going to get publicity. Oh, and I'll recommend you and publicize you. No, they won't. Okay.
No,
they may
won't.
tag you only because they're obliged to,
Yeah.
but they're only using it for their own self-promotion. They
Yeah.
don't give a toss about you. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it outright.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a wedding photographer and your supplier say, you know, can you give me some images? I'll tag you. Don't get excited. Don't think, oh, wow, oh, brilliant. They're going to tag me and I'm going to get loads of work. You will get zilch out of them. They don't give a toss. Okay. Mark, we're honest on this podcast. Otherwise, there's no point in being here. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think this is where these people, the suppliers, should have a little bit more respect. They should be respecting the photographers, and they should say, is there any possibility that I can have maybe a couple of cake images? Could you let me know what the cost is if I was to get some of those pictures of the cake? Well, would you be able to forward me just some watermark proofs, and I'm happy to pay for them?
I mean, to be honest with you, I'd be happy with a cake.
Right,
if you want a couple of images, you send me a couple of cakes, and you know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and let's cross over like that. So let's shout out to all the wedding suppliers out there. I think let's just start. I wish, you know, could you all start showing some respect to all the photographers and videographers out there?
Yeah.
You know, and not asking. Basically, you're asking for stuff for free.
Yeah.
You know, and
I think we veered off the raw conversation here, though.
Yeah. Now, coming back to that. Now, coming back to that, what I do want to say about the raw files is that I'm not saying to any photographers or videographers, don't give the raw files to your clients. I'm not saying that at all. I think that's you to make up your own mind, because there's no right or wrong answer. If you feel comfortable giving the raw files and you're one of those people saying, well, I don't have a problem, why are they getting all uppity about it. No, we're not. We're just sort of saying it from our point of view. Like I said, I would happily give our commercial clients raw files, in most cases, not in every single case. But wedding clients shouldn't. No, we don't do that, because I don't want anyone to look at the raw files and think, well, what on earth is this? Because that's what they would say. Or they'd say, I can't open this, and all of that nonsense. You just don't go down that route. But if you're happy to do that and to give the files, then do it. It's fine. It's not a problem. And I don't have a problem with a photographer, a commercial photographer, a fashion photographer, a wedding photographer giving raw files to their clients if they want to. It's their decision.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't. I wouldn't give them away at all personally, but no matter what the client is. But yeah, it's each to their own, really. I think there's lots of reasons why you shouldn't, and I can't think of a reason why you should. To be honest, I don't understand why you would want to.
Yeah,
I don't really understand the pros for it, but anyway.
But we don't have a definitive answer. We just give you our thoughts on this. And,
I think we're quite unanimous on this one. It's like
I think we are, but I'd be quite happy for a photographer or a videographer to say, "What the hell?" Well, and there may be some photographers and videographers say, "Well, charge them for it, and I make money, and I make X amount of this if I don't give it because I'm not being precious." Hey, great. That's absolutely not a problem at all. I've always sort of said, don't be overly precious with your work. I don't. That's just me. If somebody wants the clips, the original digital files from the shots you've taken, let them have it. If you're happy doing that, not a problem for me. And on that note, Mark,
we'll say cheerio. I think
we will say cheerio.
Okay. Well, we do have some people to shout out, don't we? Yes, Nick Payne, thank you very much. Carl Sherville, Rob Percy, Craig Chuck, Amara Zainab, and I think that's everybody.
Well done, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. See you in the next one. Cheers.
Ta-ra.